All right, welcome back everyone. Hope you enjoyed that quick break. I am very excited for this next session, which will highlight the Capturing Better Futures initiative of Vernon Parish, Louisiana. This is a story of thoughtful engagement and intentional partnership that has resulted in a win-win for all the parties involved, including CapturePoint Solutions, the United Association, and the Vernon Parish School Board, as well as the broader Vernon Parish community. It's been a pleasure working with this group over the last few months, and we at the Carbon Action Alliance are honored to play a small part in helping tell their story. We've been working on a video that was filmed at the Vernon Parish Career and Technical Education Center ribbon cutting event, which took place in August of this year. Our video aims to share this engagement story, which can serve as a blueprint for future carbon management projects. We don't have our video finalized yet, but we have a preview to share with you right now. And after the video, we'll bring our speakers up to the stage to continue the conversation. Thank you.
When our schools open on August 21st, we will be opening the inaugural class of Capturing Better Futures initiative. The 30 students were selected from the 9 high schools in the district. My name is Lisa Lohman, and I currently serve as the Curriculum and CTE Director for the Vernon Parish School Board. And I am super excited about the Capturing Better Futures initiative.
Our union is 367,000 plumbers, pipe fitters, HVAC technicians, pipeliners, sprinkler fitters, and service technicians. You know, we explained the training we do to CapturePoint, and CapturePoint brought us to Vernon Parish to work on this CTE program.
My name is Tracy Evans. I'm CEO of CapturePoint and CapturePoint Solutions. We are a carbon capture and storage company focused on capturing industrial emissions and taking those emissions and injecting them deep underground.
When I was first approached about the program, I wasn't really sure all about carbon capture and sequestration because it wasn't a topic that I was real familiar with. But the key thing that I heard them say was student opportunity is attached to it.
The benefits these young people are going to receive by going through this program, they're going to come in at a higher wage rate than their counterpart would who graduates high school the same year as them and gets in the apprenticeship program. They're going to make about 10% more money starting. Their benefits are going to start. They're only going to have to do 4 years to complete their apprenticeship program versus the typical 5. And they're going to be better, more skilled, more prepared on the job site.
Matthew, my son, is going to be a senior this year. We had filled out the application and I knew they were only going to take around 30 people. So I was in high hopes that he would get accepted. And so when he did, I feel like him getting accepted to the program was really a relief as a mother, knowing what he was going to, go towards after college or his senior year, where his focus would be.
This program means a lot to me. It's a good opportunity, a good job opportunity. It's going to have plenty of experiences and it's going to really set me out in my younger years. Welding's like a work of art to me. And it's kind of like a peace and quiet time because I can sit there and I can weld and nobody's bothering me. I'm just focused on what I'm doing. It brings me to a happy place.
This program alone will provide growth, prosperity, and opportunity not only for our students, but also for our families and for the future of our district.
It's a great program. It's a great opportunity. You know, our union needs folks. CapturePoint's going to need workers to build the project, and we recruit high school students to get in our apprenticeship program. And if we could take them in after they've already been trained 2 years, it's going to benefit the contractor, the owner, and it's going to benefit the student.
Our goal is to train up additional people to join the workforce in the carbon capture and storage industry.
To have the opportunity to present this project and look into the eyes of the parents that are sitting out in the audience, and you can just see and feel the hope that they have about what this program offers to their students. And so, you know, speaking with a grandmother who says, oh my goodness, I want my grandson to be picked for this program because I want him to have a future. I want him to have not just a job, but I want him to have a career, and this provides that opportunity.
That's what makes it so great in Vernon Parish. Our parish is rural. There's a lot of poverty here in our parish. There's a lot of children that wouldn't have an opportunity to even go to Lake Charles or Alexandria to a trade school because they can't afford it. They can't afford to get there. They can't afford the tuition. You know, as a parent, this is great. It takes a huge load off of you to know that your child can move forward in their trade education and not have to have a cost or all these student loans at the end. I mean, that's a win-win right there.
When our schools open on August 21st.
All right. And with that, I'm happy to welcome Sarah Forbes, the Deputy Director for Carbon Management at the Department of Energy, Tracy Evans, CEO of CapturePoint Solutions, Jeremy Modrell, Special Representative at the UA, Vernon Travis Jr., School Board Member at the Vernon Parish School District, Sherry Tucker on the navigation team at CapturePoint Solutions, and Lisa Lohman, Director of Secondary Curriculum and CTE at Vernon Parish School District. Welcome, everyone.
Quick introduction to all of the panelists. I want to say before I get started that I was happy to accept the opportunity to introduce this cast of characters because oftentimes we talk abstractly about things like community benefits, about communities that are historically disadvantaged and overburdened. And you know, this is an opportunity to see a project in a community that's real, and to think about how a project in this sector can impact and change kids' lives. So the panel is going to go in this order. First, we're going to hear from Tracy Evans, the CEO of CapturePoint Solutions. You all saw Tracy on the video. I first met Tracy many years ago when he was the CEO of Denbury Resources. He's held a number of other positions over the years in the oil and gas sector, and the thing that his bio that I have doesn't say is what a leader Tracy has been in innovation in carbon capture and storage, not just from a technology perspective, but also from communicating and sharing information about how it's done. The next speaker you'll hear from is Sherry Tucker. Sherry is the lead for the navigation team at CapturePoint Solutions. She is an expert in all things permitting, a force to be reckoned with. And I will say that Sherry, over her career, has held a number of different positions. She has told me that she knows the Department of Energy well, and was at one point in her career held the position of, gosh, now I'm not going to be able to find it on this list, as the Assistant General Counsel at DOE. She's also served as the Assistant Attorney General for the Maryland Department of Natural Resources. So a career of history in how to permit things, how to do things, and how to do things the right way. The third speaker you'll hear from is Jeremy Modrell, who is the Special Representative for Pipeline and Gas Distribution at the United Association of Journeymen and Apprentices of the Plumbing and Pipe Fitting Industry of the United States and Canada. Jeremy is filling in for Lance, who you saw on the video. Jeremy has nearly 25 years of experience, both as a rank and file pipe fitter and well fitter, as well as a frontline union officer on a bunch of different energy projects. He also is, as well as Sherry, they're members of the White House Council on Environmental Quality's CCUS permitting task force. The next you'll hear from is Vernon Travis, who is a school board member at the Vernon Parish School District. So he's an elected member and a local liaison for the partnership, but he's also has a history of tremendous leadership in Vernon Parish and in Louisiana. So over the last 16 years, he's served as the Vernon Parish School Board President, the Louisiana School Board Association President-elect, and the Consortium of State School Board Associations Chair-elect. He's also a former military intelligence officer and tactical integration leader. Thank you, Vernon, for your service as well as in the military as well as here today. And last but not least, on the video, you all saw Lisa Lohman, who is the Director of Secondary Curriculum and CTE at the Vernon Parish School District. In addition to the leadership work that she's done in Vernon Parish, she has led 2 Louisiana schools to the Distinguished National Blue Ribbon of Excellence Award. And she's also, as an athlete, I have to mention this, she's a state champion track and field coach. So with that, I'll kick it off with the panel, starting with Tracy Evans, CEO.
First of all, thank you all for inviting us today to talk a little bit about the Capturing Better Futures initiative. Thanks, Sarah, for that wonderful introduction. I'm going to give you a little bit of description of what we do. I mean, CapturePoint Solutions. I mean, we basically manage carbon primarily today through CO2 EOR. We are currently sequestering about 1 million tons of CO2 every day in our CO2 operations, and then we are working on multiple Class 6 permits throughout the U.S. For capturing additional carbon from industrial facilities. That's what led us to the project we're going to talk about today. On this slide here, you can see the project. Basically, we call it the Central Louisiana Carbon Hub. But basically, it's a project where we're going to capture CO2 from existing natural gas processing plants within the Haynesville Basin. There's about 20 to 25 natural gas processing plants up here. I doubt we capture from all of them. We'd love to capture from all of them, but I doubt we get everybody signed up. But that's the goal, take that CO2, because there is really no good sequestration options underneath the Haynesville. We're going to pipeline that CO2 down a pipeline to what we call the Sinless CO2 Hub down in Vernon Parish. The project, all in all, we hope to have up and running here as soon as we get our Class 6 permit like everybody else. So how did we get here today? About a year ago, we were at another GPA conference, and I spoke on siting and things like that. And one of the keys here that I really want to reiterate is our project is existing CO2 emissions. The plants already exist. Whatever equipment we're going to add for carbon capture, primarily compressors and dehydration and things of that nature, a little bit of H2S treating, it's all going to be on the site where the natural gas processing plant already is. So there really is no new siting, no new disturbances. The sequestration site is where the best geology is. It really doesn't have to do with anything around anybody, but it really just has to come down to where is the best geology that you can inject the volumes of CO2 at the rates you need to inject them. So when we looked at that, one of the issues around sequestration in Louisiana and other parts of the country is aggregation of pore space. It's very difficult. Most states don't have any way to aggregate pore space, so you have to go out and get permission by everybody that owns any piece of land that your CO2 plume will go under. So we look for large landowners. So again, we have one landowner that owns over 50, almost 55% of this project. We'll have multiple other landowners. We're in the process. We're over 90% confirmed on the pore space today and continuing to make progress there. And then you have the pipeline. Well, obviously the pipeline is, point A to point B. Obviously you have to avoid certain areas that are environmentally sensitive and things like that. So I wish it was as straight as that line there. That would be my ideal. It doesn't look like that in reality. It's a rather tortuous path as you avoid various environmental sensitive areas. So basically, all before us, we've been developing this project, which we started almost 2 years ago. We've been talking to local regulators. We've been talking to city council members. We've been talking to what they call police jurors, which are basically county commissioners in Louisiana. We've talked to the sheriff's groups. We've talked to everybody locally. We've talked to everybody in the state level as well before we ever really announced the project. And I think that's important to listen as a company that's developing projects. It's not only go out and tell your story,
but you need to listen to hear the feedback of what the communities might be concerned with and what areas you might need to be able to help them. And that's exactly what happened in this case. We did not set out to go out and create the Capturing Better Futures initiative. I'm not going to go into the details of that. I'm going to let the people that actually, develop the program and everything talk about that. But I think the keys are, information needs to be a two-way street. There's a lot of information that we have as a company. We've dealt with CO2 for a long, long time. We've pipelined CO2 for a long, long time. And so I just think it's a two-way street. You need to listen. And then you need to be willing to make changes. If things need to change, if you need to slightly reroute, if you need to move stuff, if you can, then try to do that. And so finally, I'm going to turn it over to let Sherry, Jeremy, and Vernon talk about it, and along with Lisa. But I think developing programs for this type of activity where we can benefit not only the community, we benefit the industry, and we benefit the company is I think, about as ideal as you can get. We are going to be able to take high school kids, give them an opportunity to do something they otherwise not be able to during high school, come out, as the video said, in a better position, and we need workers. If we're going to build the pipeline infrastructure, if we're going to build the number of facilities that have all been talked about this morning, it's not going to happen with the existing workforce. And so this is a small program in that regard, but it is a start, and will definitely provide the apprentices and things like that for our project. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sherry, which has been the lead person at CapturePoint.
I've been told I'm good. Good morning. My name is Sherry Tucker. And you've seen what it is, what the initiative is. It's a career and technical education program in Vernon Parish, which is a rural, poor community. And people came to me and said, how did this happen? Why did it happen? And how did it happen so quickly? So I'm going to give you a brief chronology, which others then will fill in more fully for you. But I also want to say, to begin with, that it really all began at the GPI. It began at the GPI last October at your New Orleans conference when Tracy gave his talk. And at the reception, I met for the very first time people from the UA. I'd never heard of the UA. And they had to explain to me what they did. And they told me they wanted to do business with CapturePoint. And they kept pursuing. And then in December, I went to a meeting with them and learned about, for the first time, career technical education. I had never heard of it, but I quickly did, and I realized that they had a very well-developed program. Raymond Boyd runs it. The man is incredibly impressive. And I went, wow, this is something that might have a future. Then, about a month later, I attended an event called Washington Mardi Gras. And for those of you who don't know what Washington Mardi Gras is, you should if you are interested in meeting Louisiana politicians, because at the end of January, every state, local, federal, Louisiana government politician decamps to the Washington Hilton for 4 days of receptions and meetings, and it's a great place to meet everybody all at the same time. So I was actually forced to go to Washington Mardi Gras by my company. I didn't really want to go, but I'm really glad I did, because at a meeting I met Vernon Travis, an elected school board member from Vernon Parish, where we had a project. And I went up to him, introduced myself, and I said, "Are you interested in career and technical education?" And he said, "Yes, ma'am, and I want it by August 22. And I said, "Well, that's quite an ambitious program." I said, "But the UA has a program. Let's see what we can do." Now, I'm emphasizing August 22 because the reason this happened so quickly is because we had a deadline. And that deadline was etched in stone. It was the day the students start school. We couldn't fall by a month. We couldn't say, "Oh, we'll get it done 3 weeks later." It had to be done by then, or else it would have had to have been postponed by a year. And that was key. So after that, we met with the UA, and our kickoff meeting was supposed to be in early April, I believe. Unfortunately, the UA couldn't make it, and Vernon called me up. Oh, by the way, when I got to this program, I learned I had 2 bosses, not one, and the other one was Vernon Travis. He called me up and he said, "Sherry, this is the last time this meeting doesn't happen." So that was April 25, the kickoff meeting occurred, and the 3 parties got together, and we hammered out an MOU by May 23. And it was Vernon, and this is a public document, by the way, and it does not involve any government assistance. It was all the contribution of the school board, which provided the classroom, all the utilities at the school, etc. The UA, which provided the curriculum and the teacher, and their curriculum got approved by the school board, and we provided the rest. And that mainly consisted of transportation of the school, because there's Vernon Parish High School and 8 other high schools. We had to bring the students there. And I'm pleased to say that the ribbon cutting occurred, and you saw it, on the 18th of August, and the students are now in school. And I think that it is a tribute to the inspiration that we got from the Vernon Parish School Board and the ability of the UA to produce an outstanding curriculum. Our only regret was that it was limited to 30 students, but that was all that the UA could teach at this time. So that's how it happened. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, Albuquerque. Never been here before. I think I'm already starting to develop a little accent. This is definitely cowboy country. I'll try and keep it down, though. Yeah, like Sarah said, I'm a representative with United Association. We represent construction workers in the plumbing, pipe fitting, welding, HVAC technician, and sprinkler fitting industry. I'm specifically assigned to the pipeline and gas distribution department. My counterpart, Lance, with the UA you saw in the video, I really got to give a shout out to him. He's really the one that spearheaded this and carried this for my organization, and then partnered with everybody up here on stage to have this program come to fruition. And like Sherry said, they did it in record time. They did a great job. So I thought this one was on. I guess this one's on. This program means a lot to my association. You know, it's going to give these kids a real world idea of what being a construction worker is, right? They're going to get a taste of that before they even graduate high school. And it's being taught by one of our local member instructors, right? A guy that's been in the field for a lot of years, has a lot of experience. So he's not only going to train them to a high level, he's also going to be a mentor and be able to tell them, you know, what it's like out there, what it's like in the construction industry. Sometimes we get rained on, sometimes it's hot, you know, and so these kids are going to come in a little more prepared than I was, right? Trial by fire for me. You know, and then once they graduate from high school, like the video said, they're going to get direct entry into one of our training programs. And these programs are 5-year, 10,000-hour programs. And in this case, with these CTE students, they're only going to do 4 years and 8,000 hours. And we go by, we coined a little phrase, earn while you learn, right? So our apprentices, once they become apprentices, will work in the field during the day alongside a skilled journeyman. And then at nights and weekends, or depending on how the program's set up, they'll go and learn from certified UA instructors. And these are all, so we have 300 local union training centers across the nation. And they're all federal apprenticeships. Some of them have state accreditation. But then the UA is standardized. So all of our apprentices are typically learning the same thing. There's a few different skill sets in different parts of the country, but so if an apprentice needs to, you know, his wife moves to California, he's from here, or family moves or whatever, there's opportunities for them to transfer to other locals as well and continue their education. You know, that's part of our networking, and as journeymen, they do the same thing. So as far as for the UA, there's risks and benefits for us in this. You know, the risk is we put time and money into kids that they don't necessarily have to be union when they get done, when they graduate, right? And that's a risk for our signatory contractors as well, because they'll go out and compete with us, you know, in the non-union sector. But the risk is well worth the reward, because we're constantly recruiting to fill. I don't know if you've heard anything about a manpower shortage, you know, labor shortage across this country. I've heard reports, read reports, up 500,000 to 1 million workers short over the next 2 to 3 years. Now, we're hustling, and I think we're going to stay ahead of that as the UA, and I think the building trades crafts will as well. But that's an issue, and what we're finding is it's harder and harder to find kids at that high school age level that want to be construction workers. You know, I think there's a growing narrative out there that says if you don't go to college, you're not going to amount to anything. Construction may be a fallback plan. You know, and I really disagree with that. Obviously, I might be a little biased, but you know, some kids aren't built that way. You know, I use my own kids as an example a lot, and if you've heard me speak before, sorry if you heard this one, but I think it's a really good example, especially since they came from the same household. My son's 21 years old. His whole life he's been an academic. He's loved school. In his room, 2 walls of his room are bookshelves. He's a reader. He took pride in that. He loved school. He got an academic scholarship to a good university. He's going to start law school next year, and he's going to be successful in that. We don't know where he's going yet. That's what I was trying to think is where he's applied, but I'm not going to go there. Now, my daughter, on the other hand, little wild child, she's just like me. She's a smart little girl. I'm not a little girl, but that's not what I meant by that. And you know what? She's not a little girl either. You know, she's 19 years old, but all you dads out there know that she's my little girl. So, but she didn't like school. She didn't do bad. You know, she was A's and B's, but she had to work at it, and not because she wasn't smart, because she didn't like to study. She didn't like to listen to lectures. Maybe it was attention span, maybe it's maturity. But I learned probably a few years ago that for her, she's 19 years old, I don't know if I said that, for her she was mechanical, and she learned with her hands. She learned by doing, right? And she's good at it. And I'll tell you right now, she just finished her first job on a pipeline as a apprentice. And I'm being completely honest when I say I'm just as proud as my daughter being in an apprenticeship program for the union as I am my son going to law school, because I know both of them are going to have lucrative, fulfilling careers with medical benefits and a pension. Thank you. But these are the kind of partnerships of all these entities up here that make that happen. Without me, my daughter probably would have never known about the unions, right? This is getting kids to understand and have a conceptual idea of what they're going to be doing and say, oh man, that sounds really good to me. Maybe I don't have to go to college, right? So, you know, it benefits everybody up here, right? But the real benefit is the people factor, is those students that are going to have the opportunity that they may never heard of to go out and they can work from home. They can hit the road on our networking that I talked about with over 300 local unions. But more than that, they're going to have a respectable career, making a fair family wage, medical benefits, and retirement. And to me, my heart's in training. I love it, and I love seeing kids getting opportunities. So this program is amazing. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop it there. I can ramble on all day, but what this is a start. That we have a great program set up, but the sky's the limit. We're just scratching the surface of how we can morph this and affect more people. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Well, I'm not quite as eloquent as all those that came before me, because I don't mind saying yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, and I don't care what Miss Sherry says. If anybody that knows her, you know she really don't have any kind of boss. She claimed that she has two, but I think Tracy and I know different. But with that, I'm Vernon Travis. And no, as you know, I'm from Vernon Parish. It was not named after me. I wasn't named after it. I was not even born there. I was born in Louisiana. But with that, I just want to start with this here. And this is a point that I've talked to several people about. Something every one of you that's came up on stage today and that will come up on stage, you're going to talk about careers and developing careers and different type of jobs. But the problem we're all having, as you heard from the people up here, is that there are no workers. I don't care how many jobs you create in your industry, you're not going to have the workforce. What we've created here is a commonality in our partnership, and that's the beginning of your partnership. What is the common entity between all three of us? And that is the human factor. CapturePoint has a project. They've got to build these pipelines, et cetera. So they need what? Human factor. The UA, which he told you, and I think Lance would have said this, they're short 32,000 jobs just in the union alone in this country because they lack the human factor. Now, come back to Vernon Parish. What do we have in our schools? The human factor. What everybody has missed, and I won't say everybody, I don't like that's a bad term, but the right point on this whole subject is that when you start talking about engagement in the community, too often we're going looking for the 25, the 35, the 40-year-old employee that has to have 10 years, 12 years of experience. They're not out there anymore. If they are, they don't want to go to work. They want to work from home. These jobs, you can't sit at home and weld on a pipeline. You can't do it. I don't even know if there are any jobs that anybody in this business can sit at home and do it. So you've got to find that engagement point. What do we have in this country? We have a declining educational system. Why? Because we expect everybody to go to college. I was one of those guys at one point. My dad used to tell me early on, I just need you to finish high school. By the time I got to the 11th grade, he was like, you're going to have to go to college. I'm thinking, I'm just about to meet that goal. Now you're raising the bar. But by the time I finished college, guess what was happening? Now you need a master's degree. Now you need a doctor's degree. Well, now you're $200,000, $300,000 in debt getting there. And you have no way out, and we're looking for the government to bail us out on those now. But here we have an opportunity with the UA and this partnership that I like to call the Trinity. And it's such a trinity because every one of these members came in with a commonality. We established a strong collaboration on what we needed, and we all basically got along, cooperated with each other. There was never a push or pull on who's doing what. It was all about the community. It was all about the school, and it was all up front, very transparent. And what I like to say, and I don't know if Batman, that's my Batman on the end, and I'm her Robin, so I know that you would think that's reversed, like we're talking about the son and the daughter. It is reversed. But as you will find out as you go forward, these kids have this golden opportunity. And Mike, one of the employees with CapturePoint, had overheard and told me this story, that during our ceremony, he heard a parent turn to their child and say, hey, look, you better not screw this up. That's how critical it realized to me, and you saw the mother up here. She knew the hope and the benefit. Now, what are the benefits for our community? What do you guys bring to us? And I like to say this. You can give my community $1 million to our local government. How does that impact the family? It don't. So you lose. The local government wins. But when you can bring a job, and you're talking about money, when they start talking about money into a community, this is how you do that. You take these 30 kids or 15 kids a year, and you give them $60 an hour, and you start doing the math on that. 15 at 60, it comes out to about, per kid, $2,000 a week. Multiply, keep going, and in a month, you just dumped $120,000 into that local community. How? Through those kids. For me, a dying community, I want every child that graduates from my school to stay home. Right now in Louisiana, small rural areas like me, they go to Texas, they go down to the Gulf, wherever the pipelines are, and we get nothing as a community from that. So now when you industries are looking and you're talking about this engagement, that's how you do it. You give the money to the people, hiring them, but more so, I'm going to ask as an education person, I want to tell you, go to the schools, get those kids, and I want you to get the kids that without you will end up, and somebody mentioned this, they didn't want to say it like I'm going to say it. They're going to end up in prison. They're going to end up in drugs. They're going to end up, homeless. But when you guys go in and start bringing this to them, you reduce that in a community. You build the economic value of a community because now those incomes, those jobs, all of that is staying at home. And guess what? For you, well, let me back up. For these guys coming into my community, that just changed the whole mindset of the whole parish. Because now we have an opportunity for true growth, not just this industry, but with this industry is going to come what? Trucking industry. It's going to come in pipe fitting companies. All because why? We got a workforce that's going to support that. And every time I go with the mayor or someone from my community to try to get companies, the one thing they're going to tell you, you don't have a workforce. You guys tell us that. You guys tell us that. You don't have a workforce. But what I'm telling you is you do, but you've got to start growing your own internal workforce. And I think with that, that's probably about my time. So, but we're going to feel comfortable afterwards asking questions. There's a lot more to it. And just this trinity of the partnership is just the way to go. And you guys can do it. It's not impossible. And you can do it, as I said, I don't have it up here. We went from start to finish in 6. We started this and finished in 6 months. When you actually do the number of days, it was probably less than a month in time, but all of this was going on, and everybody worked together, and you're all invited down to see this great initiative, and I wish you could see the kids. I've talked to the kids after they started this class. They've got the greatest instructor they've ever had, and teachers don't like to hear that. They have an opportunity, and they're positive. There's not any one of them talking about quitting school now. They are looking forward to getting into this class because, like you say, some kids are just hands-on, and we lose them in our education system because we want them to go books on. Read the books, go to college, study hard, work hard, get a good job, but we're not telling them you're going to have to pay off a lot of debt. This program here, they get all the money with no debt, all the benefits at a reasonable cost. And I never once promoted the UA. I told the UA, I'm not promoting union, I'm promoting skill sets. And now what they decide to do when they leave us, that's on them. But like these parents are saying, don't screw it up. Thank y'all.
Kick off the panel with a question for Lisa, who we haven't heard from yet, and then we'll take questions from the audience. If you all don't have questions, I'm going to keep asking them. So I always have a lot of questions. So Lisa, can you kick us off by telling us a little bit more about the students and the community from your perspective and how the initiative is being viewed right now?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that great question and for the opportunity to respond. We have a lot to say and a little time to say it, so we're going to try and talk fast so we get all of this in. But Sarah's question actually highlights the total essence of our Capturing Better Futures initiative, because our program has always had the focus in the forefront of the children and the community. And I know that every one of you sitting in here knows, or you should know, the greatest asset in any community is the children. They are the most important, and if you have a community-based engagement program that prioritizes the children and provides opportunities for them, and it also meets a definitive need within that community, you have a win-win program to start with, because you are prioritizing the greatest asset, and then you're meeting the need of the people that are located within that community. Our collaborative effort between CapturePoint Solutions, the United Association, and the Vernon Parish School District is an absolute model of community engagement, because number one, we prioritized the greatest asset was our children. We provided them with an opportunity that they would probably never have because of the rural area that we're located in, and we're geographically isolated from industry. So we prioritized our asset. The second thing we did was we met the definitive need of our community. When this program was first introduced to us, Vernon and I, my teammate, we absolutely knew that this was a program that we wanted in our community, because we saw the benefits not only to our students but to our families and to the lasting impact that it would have on our community. So that was the second point. The third thing we did was we had transparency. We were very open, we were very honest about everything we were doing. Every stakeholder group that we met with, we made certain to tell them the exact components of the program, how it would be implemented, how it would impact our schools, our students, our families, and the future of our communities. So with all of that in mind, we were very positive in our approach. So to be open and honest with the people that you're going to be interacting with and really show them what you have to offer them and how it can benefit them will truly make a difference in any project that you're actually trying to launch. when I first was introduced to the whole idea of carbon capture and sequestration, my good friend Vernon says, hey, I have something I want you to listen to. I've got a program that I think would be really great. And he says, it's carbon capture and sequestration. He rattled off a bunch of stuff, and I went, okay, I'll go to that presentation. And so I was listening to all the different scientific descriptions, looking at all the porous structures and looking at all these maps and everything. And I was like, okay, Vernon, what did you get me into? And then they said the key word for me, which was, and this is a great student opportunity. I immediately stopped and had a complete new focus because it really meant something to me and the people that I actually care the most about, which is our students. And so when I heard student opportunity, I knew immediately that this was a program that we wanted to move forward with. Now, initially my understanding of carbon capture and sequestration was probably on an elementary superficial level, but after my teammates have coached me and given me lots of tutoring and enrichment and all kinds of lessons on all things involved with carbon capture and sequestration, I think I have a doctoral degree now from Dr. Sherry, all of our bosses. And so she keeps all of us straight. But anyhow, when we started with this program, and my teammates here have said a lot about that, we actually started with the end in mind, meaning we knew what we wanted it to look like in the end result. And so we took theory and put it into practice because we knew exactly what this needed to look like, how to take the action steps to get to where we wanted to be. And so when we did our whole approach, there were 3 basic pillars that we based the whole program on, which helped the students, the parents, the community, and all of the stakeholders truly understand the benefit of this project. So the first thing we did was we engaged purpose-driven people, which was all of the teammates right here. Everybody that sits on this panel is absolutely purpose-driven and knows what we're trying to accomplish. And we have all worked really, really hard to make sure that we understand each person's strengths and their contributions to the project. So purpose-driven people, you have to have purpose-driven people who see the end before all the other steps are there. The second thing or pillar that we have is we have positive promotion. Everything we did was in a positive frame set to positively frame the picture of what it was going to look like in the end. So when we met with the different entities, we made sure that we positively framed their perspective of what this project would look like and how it would impact them and how it was going to benefit them. And then the third pillar that we used was powerful partnerships. You have to have a powerful partnership with all the entities that are involved in a program. And so each of us have our own strengths and contributions that we make to the program. But the most important thing that we have is we saw the end in mind, and we knew that the community and the children, which were the 2 greatest factors that we had to consider, was always in the forefront of our vision of what we wanted to achieve. As I went around to all the schools in the district, I made sure that I let them know exactly how this was going to benefit their children. And so when we look at the program now, we have these 30 students who are actively enrolled in our program. They are excited to come to school every day. They look forward to what they're going to learn, but they look forward to their future and what this means not only for them and their families, but for the future of our community. So those are the basic elements that we used in launching this program. It's been very well received, and we continue to move forward on a daily basis.
Thank you, Lisa. Do we have a question from the audience? Hey there.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. I think my question
you. I assume everybody heard that question? No. So basically, you know, how do I see this? How do we see this expanding into other regions in the country, and what's the feasibility of that? Is that correct? Because of this, I think it's very feasible, right? This is a template moving forward, and when I say we're scratching the surface, I think there's a lot of different programs we can implement within the CTE program, or maybe take it a different direction. Like, you know, we have, just with the UA, we have veterans in piping. We're veterans, our military force that come out of the military and are done with their service, they get a certain amount of training, kind of like a CTE program, and then they're direct entry into one of our facilities or one of our local unions as well. And we place them, try and place them, you know, where they need to be next to family or whatnot. And then we have programs for what is that called? PTSD, you know, to kind of help them engage back into the real world. We also have women in the trades, where we're promoting women in the trades. In fact, in December, we have an event that's with the whole building trades, but there'll be 4,000 women in DC for construction women in the trades. So I think it's very feasible to do what we're doing anywhere in the country, and I think there's a lot of possibilities for expansion as well.
Thank you. I saw one more question. Daniel.
Just, it goes along with that question because nobody asked. Obviously, my initial question as we're running out of time was about the cost to the school district. Obviously, the industry, the companies can come and go. They just replicate across the country, not the same company, but and the union has its cost. But for the school district, what was the investment that the school district made on per student basis? But a larger question would be, if this is going to be replicated across the country, what's the actual dollar cost per kid per year to train them in this 1 year thing? Do you guys have like a rough estimate of the dollar cost in total?
And I guess I'll take that on. I guess I'm going to start out with the lack of relevance of the cost, and I'm not to throw your question out, but to the fact that there is no ceiling when we come to training these kids. But however, in this program, we figured out our transportation costs, our building costs, the welding equipment costs, and all of those different sub-costs. And so based on what you as a district bring to the table, depends on how much your partners will have to step in. And so in our case, we had a building. It was our old carpentry shop. So that was on us. So we brought in a building. We got a classroom. Those are all on us. Our cost, school district-wise, was to maintain the classroom, maintain the lab. So all the things that go along with maintaining a building becomes the school. Then transportation and some other supplies fell under our industry partner, CapturePoint. And then the actual operation and equipment for the lab, because it was under the UA structure, so all the welding machines, the welders, the tools all come from that side of the partnership. So all three partners had, I can't say it's going to be a equal dollar amount. It's going to come down to what you as an industry, you as the partner, and who, I mean, we have a trinity. You may only have a duet or partnership, okay? So whatever that is, it's something that has to be worked out during that collaboration phase as to how much you're going to contribute and what the cost is. I'll just tell you, there's only one person that's cheaper than my superintendent. He's up on this panel, but I won't call his name. But my superintendent said, as long as there's no real cost to us, we're good. Let's do it. So that's what the school district has to really, you got to look at the school districts you're partnering with. Do they have the capability to bring a lot to the table or not? But the point is to that involvement in the community has got to come from the industry side of it, because that's what you're bringing, and that's what you have to get that engagement in. So I hope I answered your question, but no, we don't have a specific dollar amount. Maybe the next time, yeah, it's broken down by who was bringing what to the table and what fell under each member's pillar in the partnership. And then if it was there, that was their cost, and there was no, haggling about that. It was, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and we're going to do this. And if there's any shortfalls, we'll figure out in between how we're going to fill it. But the end result is what we said we were going to do. We started with the end in mind, and everything else had to come with it. So that's the easiest way to say it. And to the first question, this can be overlaid over any district, anywhere, any school. It's just a partnership and the engagement in the community. I hope I answered that the best I could there.
And I think it should be also noted that the amount of support that this program has gained. I went to Industry Day and I met a welding company that was going to be providing all the welding equipment for the workshop on them. They were going to be supplying other supplies. We provided backpacks for the kids. You saw that in the film. This program costs the kids nothing. The benefits to, and everyone on this panel benefited. From CapturePoint's point of view, we received great support from the police jury, from the city of Leesville, and from the Chamber of Commerce. And we're very, very grateful for that support. But I would say to you that that support was generated by the fact that this CTE program was being done. And that is what created that support.
And I'm just going to come right back. There is federal money for CTE programs, and not to elaborate too deep, I think it's the Perkins, Carl Perkins grant that every school district in the country can apply for. So there are avenues the school can go through to help offset that. Thankfully, we didn't have to do that yet, but we are working on it. We are working on it. So there is funding. There is other fundings outside of the tax-based revenue in the school district to go get for these type programs.
Thank you. We are unfortunately out of time. In closing, I want to say this is not a Department of Energy project. This is a project that is happening because in this day and age, thinking about communities, engaging communities, is what it's going to take to get projects done. With that, look forward to talking to you all. Thank you for your attention, and let's thank the panel with a final round of applause.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you to all of our panelists. So grateful for you sharing your story and for staying on deadline, August 22nd. It's impressive. And, Jeremy, I just want to say, I'm the mom of 3 teenagers, for better or for worse. But my oldest son also is in a trade program in automotive mechanics. And it's so interesting to see his evolution and how he's positioning himself. But I completely agree. All kids are different, but there's certainly a lot of opportunity for young people today. So thank you.